जब ये पूरा कंट्रोवर्सी चल रहा था नुपुर शर्मा का, हिंदूज वेर एट पेन्स टू से ये लिंग नहीं है, ये फॉर्म ऑफ एनर्जी है, ये वो है, ये है। लिंग को लिंग नहीं मान सकते हैं आप लोग? Why are you so ashamed of your own culture? Why is it that you choose to actually pray to the ling? Because it is a representation of Raudra, of masculinity, of potency. You want to say it's not? How many people know when did the Wahhabi movement even take place in this country? Please read it. Sayyid Ahmad Barelvi died on the 6th of May 1831 in a place which will immediately give you a recall value, in Balakot. He was killed by Ranjit Singh's son, Sher Singh. From then on, Balakot has become a training ground because it's a shrine for jihadis. No wonder we went after Balakot after Pulwama. Because that's where they are indoctrinated and prepared. That's the memory of that community. Respect it. That's the long memory of that community. 1831 though is even relatively recent. They have a longer memory, therefore they are clearer about what they want. We are forgetful. We suffer from amnesia of all sorts. So what happened was to continue this jihad against first the British Empire, or rather the Sikh Empire and then the British Empire. People were being mobilized from all over Bharat. And money and preachers were being routed and funneled from Patna. What was the previous name of Patna? नहीं, इन दोनों के बीच में इसका एक नाम था, Azimabad. Okay, it goes from there to NWF, Northwest Frontier. So the British realized, इस preaching activity को कैसे रोकें, क्योंकि हमारे पास इसके लिए कोई provision नहीं है. Financial activity को कैसे रोकें, indoctrination को कैसे रोकें. Hence the or and or in the section. And therefore the catch-all provision of otherwise, because if you do something that is intended in this particular direction, which is not specifically provided for in the provision, I must still have an omnibus catch-all provision to come after you. And therefore the otherwise. That is how legal drafting happens. So when they did that, they decided to go after the activity thoroughly. Give the British man the courtesy of respect for being thorough. No wonder we are speaking in his language and wearing his clothes. He has done something right from his perspective. This was the thoroughness with which it was drafted. It is draconian for people who suffer, but जो राज कर रहा है उसके लिए तो ये draconian नहीं है. ये तो जरूरी है. उसने वही किया. So debates from 1863 right until 1913 will show this, that this was to go after the Wahhabi movement. Therefore sedition as a provision is needed to go after all the activities that start from time T0 until बम फटे. क्योंकि बम फटने के लिए तो एक provision है, यहां से बीच का जो रास्ता है उसको पकड़ना है. Therefore sedition. I agree with Anand on a different aspect though. भाई अगर यही करना है, why do you have a provision in UAPA and in Penal Code IPC 124A? I'm with you. I am with you. You can't have two different provisions doing the same thing and going after the same thing. Makes no sense. I am with you. But sedition as a concept and the ability of the state to go after all of this must exist. That's the only way we will be safe. I agree that there is rife scope for abuse. So did the framers of the Constitution, not just the fathers, even the Pita and Mata of the Constitution, did they know what they were doing? Yes. Kulapati Munshi, K.T. Munshi, the one who is credited for Bharati Vidya Bhavan, specifically discussed this, saying, Indian courts shall interpret this provision in a manner which is consistent with existing jurisprudence. And by that time, that is by 1947, British courts had said criticism of the government is not sedition. By the way, British courts in Britain and their courts in India, both of them had said this. That's one of the reasons several of our leaders were let off the hook. So sedition, when it is interpreted today by any court, is always interpreted in the backdrop of this history. I agree that there are tremendous and horrendous exceptions, which is to say there is rampant scope for abuse. And there is a way of addressing it, to tighten the screws. There are many ways to do it. So the so-called Mothership England has also come out with practice directions कि किस situation में आप इसको employ करेंगे. Don't be trigger happy when it comes to sedition. I agree. And if someone is accused of sedition and his life is lost or his future is lost, what are the compensatory mechanisms? Think about that, no problem. But do bear in mind that you are a civilization under siege when you discuss this. You're not a United States that has a Canada on the top and the Mexico on the side and Atlantic Sea on both sides. You're not a Japan that is protected by United States. You're not an Israel which lives in the Middle East but still has the protection of the West. आपको बचाने के लिए कोई नहीं आएगा. You are on your own. So you might as well equip yourself for that loneliness. Therefore, my only humble request is whenever you discuss free speech, Samvidhan, and that word I hope is banned from public discourse, enshrined ko hatao. Every time someone talks of the Constitution, they have to use this word. It is enshrined in the Constitution. Pata bhi hai iska matlab kya hai? Don't use it. It makes no sense. Don't simply parrot these lines just because someone else is doing it. It doesn't make you look intelligent or cool. And certainly doesn't make you look legally savvy. Because we don't use these words in court. 100%. We don't even touch it with a barge pole. Nahi chuna hai bhai isko. Makes no sense. Enshrined means इसके लिए एक मंदिर बना दिया. क्या बनाए सबको पता है. ये मंदिर है या कुछ और है हमको पता है. So therefore I'm saying, have these discussions with some context of history. Imagine now on the question of I just have 5 more minutes, I'll just take 5 more minutes. On the question of how do you go after, let's say, blasphemy, or let's say how do you interpret it, what are the defenses, truth and all that, there is one more thing. जब ये पूरा controversy चल रहा था नुपुर शर्मा का, Hindus were at pains to say ये लिंग नहीं है, ये form of energy है, ये वो है, ये है. लिंग को लिंग नहीं मान सकते हैं आप लोग? Why are you so ashamed of your own culture? Why is it that you choose to actually pray to the ling? Because it is a representation of Raudra, of masculinity, of potency. You want to say it's not? Okay, how many people have been to Pashupatinath in Nepal? Okay. It's a mature audience, hopefully. If you've got under 18, it's not my fault. You knew what you were getting into. So please take responsibility. Okay? Now, in Pashupatinath Mandir, apart from the Moolagrah, so to speak, you go to the right. There is a specific Bhairav Roop there. People who want children are expected to do something there. Touch a particular organ and come out. You're worshipping the organ. It's surprising that Hindus are so easily ashamed of their own religion. Whereas he gets away literally with murder. Now when he was saying, so therefore, during this entire controversy, obviously the other side, that's exactly what provoked Nupur Sharma. That he made fun of it. And therefore she had to respond. So one of the factors that you consider in deciding blasphemy, so on and so forth, is this under duress, provocation, what? No, it's not as if she was waiting there to just shoot out this statement. नहीं था. ज्ञान वापिक के संदर्भ में ये डिस्कशन चल रहा था, किसी ने वहां से ये टिप्पणी और व्यंग के बाण चलाए, उसने जवाब दिया. Right? So therefore, to that extent, she was not actively looking for controversy, so that is one of the mitigating factors in deciding blasphemy. Is she responsible for blasphemy? Second, does the content of the statement have any truth in it, or an element of truth in it? Which it is. I agree with Anand on that. Now, usually the other discussion that happens is, samajh lijiye, Krishna Leela, when it is read by a bhakta or the devout, is seen as a divine play. But the one who does not believe in it will make utter fun of it. When that fellow Neeraj in that movie with Salman Khan has this line, Krishna kare to ye leela hai, main karun to kuch aur hai. He says this. You know why we should have actually prosecuted that fellow for this? Because what is important is tone. Tone. कृष्ण लीला के बारे में जब बात होती है या भगवान के बारे में बात होती है, respect, because you're hurting our sentiments. That is the position. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying this is what the law says. Now, but then, question would be, Bhaiya, I don't even subscribe to your faith. Kahe ka respect? I don't subscribe to your faith at all. Plus, I wish to critique it because I feel either it's stupid or whatever it is. If that's the position of someone, I agree with Anand there. Otherwise, Charvaka should have been beheaded. Going by this logic. So, the concept or the discussion surrounding blasphemy is way more complex and requires a bit more of thought. For strategic reasons, I am saying retain the provision. Because आज आपके हाथ में उसके अलावा और कोई औजार नहीं है. So my position is not strictly academic, it is realistic. उसके पास तलवार है और मेरे पास कील है. कील तो है, जहां मारना है मारो. कील भी गया. So what will you do? जादू की झप्पी? My dear brother is Mahatma Gandhi's letter to Hitler. Hitler would have said, throw it in the dustbin. What a cloying nonsense this is. It's too sugary, I can't even handle this. It's like watching that movie Viva by the Barjatias. Unbelievable cloying nonsense. So therefore, bottom line, please get real. Hindus don't have the luxury of academic hair splitting. All of these discussions must be in the context of the beheadings. Thank you.